Hello and welcome to Tracy Momi Reads. Thanks so much for joining me. I am back today with another book review. Today I'm going to be reviewing One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Yes, I said that correctly. One True Loves, as in more than one true love. Before I even get started on this book, I just want to ask you guys to go ahead and click that subscribe button and that notification bell so that you don't miss any videos from me. All right, so let's just jump into this. First of all, it's a Taylor Jenkins Reid book. So you already know that it is going to be a worthwhile read. I've read probably 4 of her books and the woman just doesn't miss, okay? So let's talk about this premise. Okay, so there is a woman by the name of Emma, okay? And this is all in the blurb, so I'm giving y'all premise from the blurb. Her husband goes missing, and then he, is presumed dead. I don't even know that they even say in the blurb that he goes missing. I think they say he's dead, right? And, years pass by. She meets someone else, a guy, and his name is Jesse. Her husband's name was Jesse. He's presumed dead, and she meets another guy named Sam and falls in love again many years later, and she gets engaged to Sam. So her and Sam are just in the middle of living the life, and she finds out Jesse is not dead. What? So she has this man that, she's prepped to marry and a man she did marry, and she loves them both equally. So when the story starts off, it's like a prologue, and Emma and Sam, it's in the present day, they are like at a restaurant with Emma's family, right? And it's her dad's birthday. When they leave the restaurant, she gets a phone call. And when she looks at it, it's like an unknown number, So she answers it, and it's the voice of Jesse, who died 3 years ago, right? So in the next chapter, the author takes us back, how this all began, how Emma met Jesse. And fun fact, Sam was in the picture early on as well. And this is back when they were teenagers. So yeah, Emma and Jesse, they're high school sweethearts. She had this massive crush on him. He didn't notice her. Then when he did, it was he didn't take his eyes off of her. They go into college, they go into young adulthood, they get married, just the stuff that dreams are made of, just young, crazy, and in love, and having all these adventures. Well, Jesse goes off, on because they do a lot of traveling, right? For work, for adventure and different things like that. And he has an opportunity to go see something in Alaska. I don't know if it's the Northern Lights or what it is, but he goes ahead and goes without her because she's seen it and she has stuff to do. So the helicopter that he's in crashes. And again, they find some of the bodies and they're just no way nobody survived. So she ends up going back because they moved to California after they got married. She ends up going back to her hometown, because she doesn't want to be there, all those memories, and ends up working at her parents' bookstore in a small town. Runs across Sam, and this is 2 years later, right? Two and a half years later. Sam used to work at the bookstore with her part-time when they were in school, back in the day. And, he's filled out quite nicely. And she remembers they used to have fun at work and he laughed at all her jokes and different things. And not much has changed. They still kind of have this attraction to one another. And Emma decides, I think that I'm ready to try this again, right? And everything's going great. Her and Sam are having a great relationship. And this is her first real adult relationship, because her and Jesse were kind of kids, and because she's now in her early 30s. Then she gets that call that this guy is still alive. And, what do you do with that? And I thought it was interesting. First, let me back up now that I've kind of got the story out. Taylor Jenkins Reid, for those of you who are wondering why her name sounds familiar, she is the author of the Daisy Jones and the Six. She's the author of the Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. She's the author of Malibu Rising and many more titles. Those are just like the ones that I've read. And one thing that all of these books have in common, you know, and I probably mentioned this when I reviewed those stories on the channel, she has such a way of writing about days past. Like, it's so real and so believable, whether she's talking about, you know, the 1940s, 50s of Hollywood and the Evelyn Hugo story, the 70s surf life in the Malibu Rising, you know, the 60s free love band stuff in Daisy Jones and the Six. And it's no different, just small town, Friday Night Lights kind of stuff in this, you know, small town of Acton, I think Massachusetts. And, you know, what it was like being a teen back then. And just with such alarming clarity that you feel like you've been transported to those time periods. And she did it again in One True Loves, you know. It's just amazing that she has that uncanny ability to write like that. You know, using, because all of her books that I've read, they all have some element of the past infused or, you know, meshed with the present. And she always does a really good job of marrying those two. So anyway, as you can imagine, and like Sam, you know, in present day with Sam and Emma, like he knows about Jessie and he knows that she was head over heels in love, and he has told her, you know, I'm not trying to replace him and this and that, and it's okay if you still love him. But of course, that's like when you think the person is dead and they're not going to pose a problem or a threat, you know. And of course, when Jessie comes back, and I mean, he went through a lot, y'all. I mean, I'm not even going to spoil it for y'all, tell y'all how he survived or where he was this whole time, but I just got, you know, one thing to say. Well, two, I guess it's two words. Castaway. And that's all I'm going to say about that. But yeah, so Jessie comes back, and not unlike maybe someone who's been like imprisoned or something at a young age, like he has arrested development because the world has moved on in his absence. You know, he mentioned some places that he wants to go eat, and she's like, oh, that don't exist anymore, they closed that down, and this and that. Like, so many changes have happened in his absence, including, you know, changes have occurred in Emma as well. And it was kind of obvious before he left, you know, she was kind of getting tired of the traveling and doing all that and thinking about what it would be like to settle down. So I'm wondering, you know, if he hadn't disappeared or you know, that whole thing hadn't happened, would they have even stayed together? Because it was obvious she was starting to kind of move towards wanting something else. And when he died, that gave her a chance to kind of reinvent herself. I mean, she cut all her hair off, she dyed it blonde, you know, did a lot of things she used to eat and do, like little things like she gave up. So just imagine if you're Jessie and you know this woman, like not only intimately, you know everything from like her favorite things to eat to her favorite places to travel and this and that. And all of that has changed. Everything about this woman has changed, including her appearance. You know, he talks about how he used to love her long brown hair, and now she has this blonde pixie cut. It's like he literally doesn't know who she is anymore. And he has gone through a lot too that he doesn't want to really talk about, but like, you can't not like bring up the issues that he has to be feeling after being off the grid for so long. You know, I mean, a lot of mental and physical shit happened to him while he was away. And for as much as she wants to they both kind of want to recapture where their story was like so abruptly cut off, she has already started to build this life with Sam. I mean, they live together. Like, she is wearing his engagement ring. They have 2 cats together. You know, it's a whole thing. And she loves him because he knows her now, the woman she is now. Jessie knew who she was. And that's kind of where, like, do I miss who I was? You know, am I only this person with him? Am I only this person with him? And she had so much love for the both of them, almost like equally, because they represented two parts of her that kind of made up the whole, if that makes sense. And so as a reader, you just like, talk about a love triangle. You're like, what is she gonna do? What is she gonna do? Because both of the guys are good guys. You know, it's not, it would be different if there was something like, oh yeah, well, she should not go with him because of this. Oh, she should go. And they both love her just as much as she loves them. So it's just like, how do you do that? Number one, as an author, write these characters that way, and then as a reader, you're reading it and you know that there is going to be some heartbreak, and there is. I can't tell y'all who got their heart broken, but I can tell you that it was not just one person, right? But it was so good. It was just really good. And another thing too, the way that the author wrote about Emma's grief, I mean, it was palpable. Like, it wasn't just one of those, oh, she just wrote about it in a paragraph. Oh, I feel bad. I don't want to live without him. Oh, I'm sad. I want to go back home. Like, she took the reader on a journey with this character of like how you go from thinking you have everything and all this time, and then it's all just snatched away. And you know, it's just very disconcerting. It's like, what do I do now? Who am I? Because everything in my life has been framed by me being a couple with this person, like since I was in high school. So I thought she did a really good job at just kind of taking her time with allowing that character to grieve and taking the reader on that journey with the character. Yeah, and the thing too, like both of the men knew about each other and they both wanted her, and you know, it was like up to her, because there was this one line in the book where Sam says to her, you know, don't stay with me if you want to be with him. You know, don't do that to me. Because, I mean, while on one hand, it's like, I've made this promise to you under the guise of thinking I'm a widow and that we're going to have this life. But if I am still kind of feeling these feelings for this guy and wanting to know what my life would be like, that's not fair to your current situation. So, yeah. And at one point, I really thought that, you know, I'm like, she gonna end up alone because this is just too much. She pulling people too many directions. She's being pulled in too many directions. And she doesn't end up alone. Like I said, I'm not telling y'all what happened. I feel like there was a happily ever after. It was just like heartbreaking and beautiful the way that we got a resolution. And the other thing that I noticed too about the books that I've read by Taylor Jenkins Reid, where there's family involved, she did a really good job at, even though the family, like Emma's mom and dad and her sister were like secondary characters, they still like were important to the story. You know, it helped with her character arc, how, you know, she went from being this sullen teenager who felt like she didn't belong and that her parents loved her sister more than her and her sister didn't get along, to, you know, kind of all of that coming full circle as all of these incidents and things were happening in the book. So yeah, this is like another top read for me for 2022. I think it's gonna, you guys are gonna see this in my end of year recap. But yeah, very, very good, good book. Very realistic and happy ending to it. If you have read Taylor Jenkins Reid's books and you have enjoyed them, but you haven't ever read One True Loves, you will definitely enjoy this one as well, because like I said, her writing is just impeccable as always. If you love stories with love triangles, stories where there are happy endings, but there's some angst in there, if you love a good angsty tale, this is definitely your story. If you have read One True Loves, I would love to know, what did you think about the book? So yeah, let me know in the comments. And thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed. And I'm going to thank all of you who are about to hit that subscribe button right now. I'm going to thank you in advance for doing that for me. Thanks so much. You guys have a great weekend. Bye.